you have to fall flat on your face and be able to handle no and handle rejection. And I think having the ability to have the confidence to fake it till you make it, because then I can teach you that. Like, I can teach you everything else.
Having that forward-looking thought process when it comes to having diverse teams, when it comes to being able to have the right systems and processes in place, is, to me, very hopeful.
That to me is like what I've been loving the most. I always joke I sell people, but I really do. I sell their stories. I really help them be able to grow and have a career path that they may not have even thought of.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jason here with the Love Local Chicago Land Podcast. Welcome back. I'm super excited to have a trailblazer sitting across from me today. She might not consider herself that, but from knowing her over this past year, I can honestly say that she's a trailblazer in her own right. Going to be talking with Katie Davis today. We're going to be talking about how sales, it takes a village, and it's about collaboration, and it's about having diverse seats at the table where the best ideas could come out. And then it's about putting good systems and processes into place within your business so that you can really take your business to the next level in a collaborative way. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I personally think it'll be one of probably numerous shows that me and her have. We could go on many different topics, but today I get to highlight her and her special skill sets that she uses for Solvo Global, and she also uses it for her own business, where it's Katie Does Sales, where she helps people increase revenue for their business. I know we all want that as business owners. So thanks for being on the show today. Let me introduce you to Katie. Katie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. You are a positive ball of energy, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's what makes the world go around.
It definitely does. So I feel like, I think Ragu told us we needed to connect pretty early on, and he's usually not wrong when that is the case. When we hit it off, and we probably could have did like 3 podcasts that first time we chatted, solving all life's problems. But to see your passion for sales, seeing your passion for building diverse teams, having a skill set and a drive to be able to help businesses implement systems that are going to help them succeed in business and do it in a collaborative, diverse way. Like, that's right up our alley. So I'm excited to kind of bring your message to life today. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
My pleasure. I want to bring in this first part of the conversation and just really humanize you and kind of get your message out there in a humbling way. For people meeting you the first time, who are you and what do you do in the day-to-day world in sales?
Yeah, so obviously I'm Katie, but I am a wife and I am a sister, and those two kind of come first. I'm very family oriented. And the reason why I started into sales was actually because of my dad and my grandpa. So I have become from a generation of sales. And from a very young age, it was engraved into me that if you wanted extra clothes or you wanted things that weren't given to you, you better go out there and work for it. And I decided not to go to college. And so that hindered me. So I had to work 10 times harder than my peers that did go to college. And so that taught me my work ethic and really helped shape who I am. And I couldn't have done it without my dad and my mom and my family.
Beautiful. So you're a sister, you're a wife, and you're a daughter.
I am, yes.
And a granddaughter.
Yes,
that's
and a granddaughter. Thing. Yeah, I love it.
I love, when we first connected, I loved hearing the stories about your grandfather too, just the impact that he had on your life. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think that's kind of the goal. Is we get older and the younger generations come up to do what your parents and grandparents did for you, and giving you that passion and drive is what we all should set out for to be able to do to generations coming up. Well, thank you for sharing. What's the message that's really on your heart right now when it comes to sales in the workplace?
Yeah, I think it takes a village. And what I mean by that is it's the people you surround yourself with. I mean, growing up, my dad would always say, show me your 5 friends, I'll show you your future in 5 years. And there were times where those lessons were harder to take because I had friends that weren't weren't fulfilling me in my life. And it was very hard to lose them. But losing them, I was able to really step foot into my career and where I'm at today. And so I think that's something that I had to learn really as a high schooler. I mean, I was a loner in high school, which is so crazy because if you ask people, they're like, wow, she's in sales. Like she talked a lot, but that doesn't mean, and so I think to me, I
couldn't see you being a loner.
I know, it really was. I had two friends, they were twins. And so technically I had one friend because they were identical twins. But no, it was something that I had to learn really quickly that if I was going to make something of myself or a career of myself, I had to do it by myself. And I quickly realized, no, you need a village, but you need the right village. And so that really, as I've gotten older, that village has become a lot of people that are here in the Chicagoland area, but then also my dad, my grandpa, my mom, and my husband. I wouldn't be here without that village to support me.
Mm-hmm. Really, life's better when you have people around you that have your back and you have theirs, right? It goes both ways. So beautiful. You might have touched on this a little bit, but if there's any other insights, was there a specific or moment and season in your career where you realize I can't do this alone and that it really does take a village?
Yeah. So it was when I moved. Well, there was really two incidences here, but the first one was when I moved from Ohio to Chicago. I came with literally just my husband and a dream that I wanted to move to a big city. And I was working for an organization that didn't give me any support. And it was very hard for me to build the team that I wanted. And there were some people that were on that team that needed to be off, quite frankly. I always say, you need to have the right team on the right bus. And if they're not willing to get on the bus, then they need to get off. And so when I didn't have that flexibility of being able to create my own team, I realized, wow, this is never going to succeed until the right people are on the right bus. And I quickly realized that was something that I needed to go and find. And when I was going and finding, I found that it was a lot more of people that were more relationship based. It wasn't the taker mentality of, hey, give me this lead, whatever the case may be. It was more so an actual village, people that wanted to help me succeed because they liked who I was, but then they also were, lifting me up and I was wanting to help them. And that was something that I never had before. I never had the ability to feel that. And so once I felt it, I could only but continue that going forward where I'm now helping them. And that's what I come to the table with first. Instead of how can you help me? And so I think that was something that I quickly humbled myself and realized, hey, maybe middle management isn't for me because I can't create the village that I need on the bus. And so that was something that I quickly learned, like, wow, I cannot do this by myself.
Yeah. We're stronger together, right? When we are able to not only support other people, but have some people support us in different avenues, even different parts of, whether it's different parts of your job or just other parts of life so that you can do your job really well. It's just so important.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It does take a village. To me, during our prep call, like it was, we talked about sales, it takes a village, but it was very much about like sales isn't a lone wolf. In order to be great at sales, it's not about you. It's about
literally, yeah.
Yeah, literally. And I think to me, I look at it as not really the sales guy. I could more do other things, but I don't have that natural skill as a salesperson. But what I do know about sales, what I've learned about sales is like, and what I've seen, I think on the media side of it, there's a quota to hit. You have a sales
KPIs.
KPIs to be able to hit, which those are important. But I feel like getting to know you, that's just one piece of the pie, and there's so much more to that. What's broken about that picture of that lone wolf rep mentality? Yeah.
So I'll give you an example from earlier on in my career. I was very, very humbled in a quick way. But I was on the top of the game. I was number one in an entire company, an organization. And every 40 minutes I was making $65, just to give you an idea. And I would just pick up the phone and sell. And I was selling Medicare insurance at the time. And, I got a horrible call. The guy was being real rude. And I just was like, you know what, sir? I can't fix stupid. Have a good day. And I hung up the phone. And not only, getting fired from that job because note to self, you can't say that on the phone, especially on a recorded line on selling Medicare insurance. But
even though you probably could have been right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
My opinion, not yours. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so I was quickly humbled. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, I should not be getting fired for this. I'm still on the top of the chart, 10 days later. And it wasn't until my grandpa kind of sat me down and was like, what if I was on the phone and I had a bad day? And at that moment, I realized no matter who I'm talking to, they can either be a client, a customer, or a connector, someone that's going to connect me to my next deal, or a client of mine, or an actual customer that I could be helping one day. And so for me, I quickly realized that when you do make an assumption of somebody, obviously, I'll know the saying, but it's so true in sales that I was only thinking about myself and my money and what I was going to get, and what I needed to get out of debt and whatever the case may be. But I didn't think about how that now infected my entire team. I mean, I was one of their top producers, and now I could have been helping them become top producers as well and within that organization. And so it was a really hard lesson to learn at 22 years old. But I can assure you that it will never happen again. I will never be the lone wolf.
It's good to get that one out of your way.
Yeah. I'm glad God humbled me quickly on that one. But so it was something that I just realized that, like, wow, this mentality is just not healthy in any organization. And it was so funny. I was just watching a video short on Instagram from one of our friends, Ragu, and it's so true about toxic leadership and how everybody wants the great performer. But sometimes those people are toxic. They're not nice. They only care about themselves. And so a lot of organizations will look at the person that is the middle of the road, but is helping others, because then you can train them to be a top performer as long as they're coachable and they're, adaptable to the situation. But you can't, that lone wolf, you cannot coach. And they are just going to spew that toxicity throughout your organization. And I watch it in my 12 years of sales. I've watched it, and I was one of them. But yeah, I think it's something that I had to quickly learn. Like, it's not about you. It's about what you're doing and what you're doing for your company, but then also your customers. Yeah. And in your community and the surrounding areas.
Yeah, I'm glad you learned that lesson early in life.
Yeah, same.
It's a good story as you go into interviews, as you evolve in life, to be able to go back to that story is a humbling moment.
Yeah. It's not always the best. It was a bitter pill to swallow for a little bit, for sure.
Sure. Yeah, there's ego and pride in there, but at the end of the day, like, we go through things for a reason, right? So it sounds like you got that out of there. When you go into a company, any type of business, where do you see the village of sales really living? Who's actually part of that village beyond just the sales team?
Yeah, so when I go into an organization, I always I was actually just helping an insurance agency. And when I was talking to them about kind of what I do and how I do it, I don't even bring that up first. I ask them, how are they operating? How is their day in and day out? I actually care about them. I'm not just, saying, like, I know a lot of sales reps when they're in trainings, they're like, oh, you need to actually care about their business. But it's like, no, like, seriously, see if you can help them. But a big way that I've recently done this is through networking with Ragu, and always be connecting for you local people. But I find that if I can't help that situation, I'm going to find somebody that can. And because when you take that consultative approach, it's a lot easier for them to trust you and build that trust. And so then once you build that trust, they're going to want your business no matter what you're doing. So I see this in organizations really where they either have a lot of sales processes and they don't have the right people on the right bus, mm-hmm. or they don't have anything. And so that's something that I've noticed, if that answers the question.
Yeah. Can you walk us through an example of a time when collaboration across roles, whether it's sales, marketing, operations, leadership, that really helped change the outcome?
Yeah. So for this one, for those that don't know, Solvo Global is owned by Venture Employer Solutions. So we partner with a lot of HR, payroll, things like that. And that's the background I came from with selling. And so I was working with a local partner here in the Chicagoland area, and I had an actual client that I knew that they weren't needing people from Solvo, but I knew that they were needing a payroll solutions or that, my venture partner can help. And so that's something that's huge because then now Josue was able to get them all taken care of and make the process go longer. And because we solved that solution, they now had, as they grow, they are now going to probably need my solution. So it's not always about, it's a lot of times it's about what you can give instead of what you can take. And when you actually care about the business, it just changes the whole thing.
Yeah, it says a lot too about you. Like if you go in and they're like, "Oh, I need your services," but you're actually like, "Well, maybe someday you actually need these services first, right?"
Yeah, exactly.
That's a part of it. So awesome. Thanks for sharing. What happens to a company's culture and revenue when sales isn't treated like a village, when it's just a couple of reps grinding along?
I love this. This is one of my favorite questions because I've worked for so many organizations, but primarily one organization. My last company, this was a huge one. It was all about what you did yesterday, or it was not about what you did yesterday. It was all about what you did today. And so what they had done is they were losing revenue. And so they had all of their managers start to sell. Well, what does that do? Now I'm competing against the people I hired to produce for me instead of training them to be top producers. Now we're in competition. They're like, why didn't you give me that deal? Why are you selling that deal? And so it just creates this like tension that doesn't need to be there. So I feel like when the organizations of big corporate organizations, you should really have those managers that are willing to pour into those sales reps and want them to win, and not have to feel like they have to compete just to make ends meet or hit this goal. You want to be able to have that instilled trust throughout all top line communication, even up to the VP, to the CEO, to the CRO. But then for your smaller mom and pop organizations, this looks like very small, maybe just even creating sales processes, figuring out, hey, this is what I'm doing right now as I, build my business. This is how I've built it. But now it's taking that passion and creating a sales process that has that passion to have the sales reps want to sell what they're selling. And I think that's something that's super huge that most people kind of don't look at and don't really care. They're like, yeah, I created this business, but I don't need to share that with the sales reps. They just need to, hit their KPIs. What? No, I love Solvo because of the passion that my president has. I mean, even when we were talking before this, when we open new offices, like in Kenya, he was passionate about the people there. He cares about us. And when you see the impact that you're making in other countries for other business owners, you're part of something bigger than yourself. And that, to me, that sells itself. I don't need a paycheck for that. And so I think that's something that other organizations kind of lack on of, why did you start the business? Take that passion and why not share it? I always tell people all the time when I was talking to business owners, I'm like, what's your guys' revenue goal? What's your sales goal? Oh, 3 million. Okay. Do your sales reps know that? And they're like, no. Why not? So why not plaster that everywhere? Because then now they're like, wow, I contributed to that $3 million. I helped with that. I think that that's something that
making it feel like they're a part of something.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what the big sales organizations miss is you're a part of something bigger, and you gotta, it's almost kind of like not culty, but you kind of have to get them to believe in the mission. But then don't get them to believe in that mission and don't follow that mission. You gotta really have that passion throughout, if that makes sense.
Yeah. In our conversation, we talked about having diverse views at the table. We talked about women at the table, and you talked a little bit something about from silent killer to seat at the table. You have some pretty good stories that you've learned that helped shape you to the sales professional that you are today. Yeah. You had been, what did I write here? You had to be what you called a silent killer in a male-dominated environment. Can you share one story that captures what you felt like?
Yeah. So I was in car sales for a really long time, and I was surrounded by 60-year-old men, and they didn't think I knew what I was doing. And I remember one guy would pull out my car for me for my customer, and he's like, well, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. And so it got to a point where it was like I wasn't even able to show them my skills because they were so quickly to coddle me. And that's something that even my dad, that goes back to like a very young age when my dad was, I was daddy's little princess. Mm-hmm. And so my dad quickly learned that he can't parent me that way because that's not going to work. And so I really just went to my manager and was like, you hired me to do this job. Watch me do the job. Let me prove to you that I can do the job. I do not need your little guys to come and drive the car, tell me how to do it, tell me all the specs. I got it. Like, I can do this. And so when I did that and they kind of released me, I was one of the top sales reps in the car business. And I remember,
awesome.
I think it was something that was so crazy to them that they were like, what? And I didn't know everything about every car. I mean, I was selling Nissan, which, note to self, I don't recommend a Nissan. But yeah,
honest sales.
Yeah. Now I would never buy Nissan. I had 2 Nissans and they broke down. But that was something that they were just kind of like missing of the trust there. And I think it happened even too when I was a manager. Like, I was a top performer. I got got promoted at an early age in the career, but doesn't mean that I'm not capable of it. If you meet your sales reps with trust first, which that's what I love about Salvo, they don't hire you if they don't think you're capable. So when you are capable, they let you show them that you are capable until otherwise. And that's something that a lot of organizations, they don't want to relinquish that trust because they're just scared. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that it just hinders me. Obviously, I'm not working at the car dealership anymore. I don't have passion for it. And
how do you work through that? Like, you're in that type of culture, right? Like, how do you work through that?
My husband would say a lot of calls crying. Yeah. But when I get mad, I cry. So as a woman, unfortunately, in a male-dominated field, you can't cry. You just can't. It for some reason, men don't like it. They think that you're being a baby, whatever the case may be. So I would go in the bathroom. I would call my husband, and I would just go crazy. And then I would take a deep breath, and I'd act like it never even fazed me. But what that happens is you're now creating a very lonely role, and it makes me not want to contribute to you. So now I'm going to go and look for other opportunities. And that is something that was really what was happening to me in that sense.
You're not really a part of something.
No.
Then that way, or you're more whatever they want it to be, like you're fitting in their box.
Yeah.
Type thing. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah. And I think sometimes too in the car business is so different because there's not a lot of girls there, but you got to it was a very much like you have to be the pretty girl. There was a mantra to you. Mm-hmm. But then the same as corporate America, when I went into corporate America, she's just a pretty girl. I'm going into all these manufacturing in high heels or in boots, and I don't care. I'll walk through the manufacturing plant, and I literally watch as these guys would turn their heads, and I'm like, it's like they've never seen a girl before. But then I would go into the closing room and the closing table, and they're like, and they start signing because I don't think they expect that I actually knew what I was talking about. And that was something that was rewarding a little bit. But I also made sure that I stayed humble in that. Sure. And not feel so, because not all men are bad, but I also felt like I just needed to kind of distance myself and be a part of a culture that is of diverse people.
And definitely, like, not all men are bad, just like not all women are bad, but sometimes there's habits that are in place for previous generations because that's the way it's always been done.
Yeah.
Whereas we've evolved and as we've learned and grow as a society, we learn that there's better ways to do things, right? Yeah. That's what I hear you saying. So you said that women can elevate a sales organization. You've shown that throughout your career. In your experience, what changes when a woman joins an all-male sales team?
Oh, I love this. So I always give the example of when I was a manager. So when I was a manager, I was the only woman. I was managing all men. And for some reason, in the very beginning, it kind of got their productivity up. And so then I kind of started looking into this. And when I was looking into the stats, men don't like to lose, but they especially don't like to lose against women. And so a lot of sales organizations, when they have one woman at the table that is a good producer, it automatically creates competition. And I find that actually when I'm interviewing a lot of women that to join the team for us, they were more competitive than the men on my team. And so that to me was something so cool to see, that we as sales individuals, we all have goals. And I think women are just kind of more geared to have an emotional tie to their goals. So my goal when I was in the car business was I was going to pay for my wedding. Like I was going to pay for my wedding and get out of debt. So that's what I did. And I had that goal, where a lot of these other guys, this is just all they knew. It was just clocking in, clocking out, where like I had an actual goal. And if anyone came close to that, oh, you bet your ass I was going to be one more level above them. Like I don't like losing. And so it was something that I've watched that even in the sales organization that I worked at prior, to see that, or even like now the sales organization, I like the friendly competition that women bring is just something that's unmatched. And we are just good. I think we're just good, smooth talkers. And I think that helps have fun camaraderie in an organization. And I think we are very goal oriented. And so when you have goals, we know that we're going to do whatever it takes to get to them. And so then it automatically just makes these, other people on the sales team want to push themselves. So they're like, whoa, where'd she come in? And so that's something that I've noticed at least.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. It's, to me, it's collaboration, brings out the best in a culture. Cause it could be competition too, but it could still be collaborative. Right?
Yeah.
But you could change the world by being collaborative and adding competition to it, especially when you're setting your goals, like, to a certain standard, to have a purpose for what you're doing, which is what I hear you saying.
Yeah. And some of my best sales and talk tracks were from men. And I think sometimes that's so cool. Like the way that I would say it, they would hear it and then they would say it. And it still works. It's said differently a little bit, but it still works. And so I think that's just so cool to see that collaboration and both teams succeeding. It didn't matter who was at the table.
No, at the end of the day, best ideas win out, right?
Yeah.
What are some myths or assumptions that people may have about women in sales that you would love to address?
Yeah, that we are just... There's two. We're just there to sit there and look pretty, and then the other one is that we can't be competitive. And those are two things that are flat out not true. The second I've hired any women on my team, or even on our team currently, they're probably the most competitive people, in the best way possible, and they are so encouraging. Like a lot of the women, actually part of the reason why I joined Salvo was there were some really powerhouse women involved. And we had gotten some stats even that a lot of our C-suite executives, about 40% of our C-suite executives are women. And to see them with their, male colleagues or just even the diverse colleagues that we have, it was so cool to see that. And to see that not only do we have a seat at the table, but we're valued and our opinions are valued. And that they're those, whatever you want to call those, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Like stipulations that they had on us doesn't really matter. And that they don't really care about that. It was how can you perform or how can you help? And that's something that I've noticed.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing. You've had great allies along the way. What did good leadership look like? And what did those leaders do differently that made you feel empowered?
Yeah, they trust first. So they trust first and they share their passion. And that was a big one for me, just having a greater purpose than myself. I can sell ice to an Eskimo. I think anyone can sell ice to an Eskimo that likes sales and that is in sales. But it's, why would you sell it to them? What does that do for any of it? Like, so I think for the organizations that go a step further and share their passion throughout the entire organization, and their greater message, but then also that they trust that you're going to execute it first until you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Amen. Well, you talked a little bit about this, so I don't want to go over the top, but let's dive into it a little bit more. What strengths do you see men bring that complement women when it's healthy and collaborative? Because to me, I think that's the mix.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if you could do the job, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman.
Yeah.
But there's beauty when you both bring in your strengths, and because I do think there's a different dynamic, kind of a lot of what you're talking about here. So with that said, what strengths do you see men bring that complement women when it's healthy and collaborative?
Yeah, I think the fact of active listening sometimes, at least for me and my personality.
Horrible at that.
Yeah.
This is it. Ask my wife. Yeah.
Yeah. It depends. I know all of the wives are like, what is she saying? No, but one thing I've really seen is that I'm not always great at actively listening or really the process. Like, I can tell people the process, but I sometimes following the process is something that I'm not really great at. Structure, if you will, where I have found that a lot of my male colleagues, they've helped me with that. Or they've also even helped me with just constructive criticism. Like, hey, you came off a little too rough there. And then I'm like, okay, well, if he says that, then I clearly did. And so then it's like one of those things where it's a great balance of being able to know who you are, to know your strengths and weaknesses. And it doesn't matter if they are Hispanic, if they're Indian, if they're Mexican, or if they're whatever, or a male or female. If you know your weaknesses and those are their strengths, then it's just game over. And I think when you have the right people on the right bus, it just elevates all of you. And I think that that's something that I love seeing and love getting to help them create those organizations like that.
Yeah, love it. If you're a leader building a sales team today, what does a healthy mix look like in terms of personality, backgrounds, and skill sets, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think grit, and being able to handle no. You have to fall flat on your face and be able to handle no and handle rejection. And I think having the ability to have the confidence to fake it till you make it, because then I can teach you that. Like, I can teach you everything else. But I think having the right grit and the drive is going to outweigh anyone. I tell people that all the time. I wasn't always the greatest sales representative. I still am not. But I can tell you I will outwork any of my other competition because I'm going to keep working until I succeed.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I think that's perseverance, grit, whatever it is. Like, that's almost one of the secrets to life. If you just keep going with anything and you're willing to like take feedback, learn, implement, and go again, like, there's nothing you can't achieve, right?
Right. Yeah.
Especially with like good coaching, good leadership to support you along the way.
Yeah.
During our prep call, we talked about systems, processes, and building that team up. You don't just talk about this stuff, you help companies build it. What does your company actually do when you come in to help a business with its sales?
Yeah. So for us, I look at, for example, any industry. I think a lot of people don't think like in the construction industry, the trades industry, plumbers, oh, I don't need sales. Okay. None of the stuff that we're using right now would not have been sold to you if there wasn't sales. So once you realize that your organization, no matter what organization it is, it needs sales, or you will not get any revenue. And so when you realize that that's the driver, now you got to figure out, okay, how can that be the driving force for my organization? So I always give the example of the insurance agency that I've been working with. We are helping them not only create the sales process. So Katie does sales, helps them create the scripts, the sales process, and we really go in there. But then I'm now being able to supply them with top talent at a fraction of the cost because they are, working in whether it's Colombia, Kenya, any of our, 20 different countries that we operate in. And so I think, and then they can see that, wow, they are willing to overwork people in the US, and they're able to build their company culture. I mean, that's the best part, is when we do these company check-in calls and I see their solver wearing their merch. That is just so cool. Like, wow, oh my gosh. Like, and they love to be there. And when you have those processes in place to translate that passion to that solver, oh my gosh, the sky's the limit. And I think just seeing people be able to grow and adapt in their culture from, globally is so cool to see. But then also seeing those people's lives in those countries change. That to me is like what I've been loving the most. I always joke I sell people, but I really do. I sell their stories. I really help them be able to grow and have a career path that they may not have even thought of, and that might have saved them out of a situation. And so that's just so cool to see.
Yeah, it's like a sense of purpose when you see that kind of come into play, right?
Yeah,
I could see that. When you walk into a company that's struggling with sales, what are the first signs that they don't have a village built yet?
The first signs are they usually have one really big top performer, and they'll let you know. That person will always let you know. I go in and they're like, "Oh, I'm the best here." Oh, okay. And then the other thing I see is that they have their like numbers, their KPIs, and all of that like targeted and plastered everywhere. And that's good and dandy, but there's no like real goal that everyone can be bought into. So I always say, I always ask them, and I look when I see that, and I see that this is like clearly. I always ask the owner, the person that's running the team, what's your favorite part of each individual? Okay, and then if depending on what it is, then I'm like, okay, is that necessary? Well, they create this amount of revenue. Okay, fair. But is that personality trait necessary for this organization? Probably not. So typically when I see that their sales processes are great, but their sales aren't where they want to be, it's typically because you have the wrong people on the bus. Or if I see people that are eager and they want to work and they're all collaborating and, and working together, then it's typically your sales processes that aren't like there. And that's something that I can kind of see. And then typically when I find that it's not the right people on the right bus, when I'm able to use Solvo and show them that, they're like, wait, what? It's like a whole game changer for them. And just to see and build their organizations, even on a global scale, but just for them and the revenue that it brings to their family is huge.
Yeah, I could see that. Where do you usually start? I mentioned a little bit of it there, but process, people, leadership, mindset, I guess it might be different depending on what you walk into, but walk us through your first, 30 to 60 days of working with you.
Yeah. So I start by getting to know them and their organization. What's their why? Why do they create the business? Because I don't care if I get a sale out of that or not. I now know that person might be able to connect me to somebody that I can help. So that's the first thing, is I actually genuinely care about what their business is. It's so cool. I get to see a ton of different business owners, like as small as making the wires on, your microphones, like those kinds of things. So I think I first go in with a mindset of what made you take the meeting and why did you create the business, and kind of go from there.
Cool. Do you have a favorite success story where you've helped a company build a collaborative sales village and watch the numbers and the culture change?
Yeah. It's actually the company that I left. So I actually just got a text from one of my sales reps that he had a nice quarter this year. And I think when you build the right sales team, and you help them organize, and it doesn't matter, they're gonna band together to do whatever it takes to succeed and hit their goals.
Cool.
Yeah.
To me, our community here hears me talk about like setting up the next generation. I think it's really important. Our actions today will help set up the next. Talking with you, it's in having that forward-looking thought process when it comes to having diverse teams, when it comes to being able to have the right systems and processes in place, is to me very hopeful, and it shows your value. You talked about being raised by fiercely independent women in our conversation. How has that shaped the way you show up today in the sales world?
Yeah, so my mom had me in high school, so her senior year, and she graduated and went and got her college degree and became a teacher, all underneath the age of I was just born. So for me, my mom always came with the table of, if you're going to come with a complaint, you better come with a solution. Mm-hmm. Or what can I do? And so for me, it was very much, she was just fiercely independent. And that just really gave me the sense of doing and the grit that I needed. And then my aunt, I mean, she was in a corporate America world. She's a killer. And she has worked for an organization, and they've created jobs for her because she's just so good at what she does. And so when you have that, but then you also have that mixed with a dad who worked his whole way up into sales and then now, is helping run a nonprofit, and a grandpa who's owned a business. And it's how was I not going to get into sales? How was I not going to do something that was successful? Because I had my entire family build this grit and grind, that it was a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, beautiful. What soft skills or habits would you tell someone to build now if they want to thrive in sales?
Yeah. Well, Zoomers, you all should be listening because I don't like to knock the generation, but we are lacking soft skills because of these things. And so go out, talk to the person sitting next to you. I was just on a flight the other day or a few weeks ago. I literally bonded with every single one of those people, mainly because our flights was canceled and, but I sat next to people and I learned their stories. Get out of your comfort zone. Stop going into this. It's derailing you. And I need to learn it too.
Derailing our society.
It's yeah. But I think that people don't know other people's stories if you don't just ask. And you'd be shocked of how many people would want to talk to people. Because we are definitely missing that in today's society.
Mm-hmm. I feel like COVID exposed our lack of community. Some of us were like, oh, no, we need this. And there's still so many people in our world in general. There's an isolation issue. And
empathy.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a piece of it. And it could come in, you're only being fed what you're fed within your algorithm. Probably a different conversation for another podcast. But I could go on that. And I don't want to go on a rabbit hole and take away from you, but it's important. For leaders who want to be better allies and build healthier teams, but are afraid of messing up, what's one simple place that you recommend them starting?
Talking to their sales reps.
Yeah.
Asking them if I could do anything, what could I do? I wish my old VP of my last job would have asked me that and actually cared to ask me that. That was something that I was like, wow, I'm doing a lot of work for you. And I need at least somebody to just at least ask me if I'm okay or what can I take off of your plate or what can we do? That would have been huge.
Yeah, beautiful. That's good advice. If sales takes a village, as we get ready to wrap up, became the standard way teams were built, what kind of workplaces do you think we would see as we look into the future, 10, 15 years from now?
I mean, it'd be so cool to see just even globally, you would see people on Zoom and collaborating and elevating each other and seeing different cultures come to one. I think one, you would see your revenue increase exponentially, but two, you would also see that a sense of empathy and care, and you wouldn't, your cold calls wouldn't be so cold and people wouldn't hang up on you right away. Cause I know nobody loves a cold call, but I think it'd be kind of more fun for people to interact with people because I always love when our cold callers, when they are calling people, they always get asked, what's the weather there? like as stupid and silly as that is, but it is just something so small that makes their day, makes the cold call less, hard to take, I guess you could say. But so I think it would just be more of a fun environment, and just wanting to be better people.
You're a part of something, right?
Yes, You're a part of the village.
Yeah, when you're a part of a team where you're made to feel like you belong, your views are listened to, whether they're incorporated or not, is two different conversations, but listened to, and you come together, and you work collaboratively with each other. Like life is just more joyful, especially if you like what you're doing. Exactly. If you don't like what you're doing, maybe not. Maybe that's a bigger topic for you. But if you like what you're doing, that makes it more fun because then you get to like root each other on.
Right. And no matter what you believe in, as humans, we all are designed with a purpose. So you got to figure out what that purpose is in that organization. If you're not able to find that, then, and you also don't like what you're doing, then it's not worth it. But if your organization starts to source people that understand and you get to know their purpose as a sales rep, like if I'm a manager and I'm hiring you, I'd love to know what your purpose is, not just for my organization, but what are your goals and aspirations in life? Because if I know that my organization can help you get those by our commission, I'm going to tie that in for you so that hey, we can help each other. So that's something that I think everybody would be winning. It'd be a winning culture.
Mm-hmm. I love it. What last words do you want our audience to know as we get ready to wrap up?
Go out and make your village.
That's good. Drop the mic.
Yeah, that's it.
I love it. That's it. Beautiful. For anyone who wants to learn from you or work with you, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, social media, but majority of it is LinkedIn, email, call or text.
Beautiful. And Katie Davis, LinkedIn?
Yep.
All right, and email?
Katie Davis at salvoglobal.com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you want to share?
No.
Cool. Well, appreciate you being on the show today. Thanks for the time, and I enjoyed our conversation at podcast number 1. I'm just going to leave it out there just in case there's another one that comes to our plate as we continue to evolve. Like I said, sales is one topic we could talk about, but it could be other ones too. So appreciate you.
Yes, appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. So my friends, we're stronger when we work together. And I'm really appreciative of Katie coming on the show today to talk about what it could look like when we create systems and processes within our business, especially our sales part of our business, that helps people win, not only that we serve, but also the people that are selling those products. When we come at things in a collaborative way, in a diverse way, with the goal to build bigger tables, the world changes around us in a positive way. I hope today that you got a little bit of insights from Katie so that you create your own village or get her to support you in creating that village, because we are stronger when we work together, and sales can be fun, especially when you're going after a big, she kind of talked about a big why, big thing that you're looking to be able to sell, and you're doing it with fun people. Like, the world could change in a positive way for all of us if we do that. There could be win-wins across the table, just like she mentioned. So go check her out if you need her support or just want to be friends. She's pretty cool. I think so. So thank you so much for watching. Support local, love local. We're stronger. Peace.